Hey everybody, welcome back to Devin UG Original Grognard. Sitting down, continuing our playthrough of Second World War at Sea, Coral Sea from Avalanche Press. Went ahead and did the 3 night turns on my own because, like I said, most people don't want to just sit here and see me move around stuff that's probably not going to have any effect on really interesting gameplay. So, let's go over what happened over the 3 turns. And actually, what turn are we stepping into? This is turn 25. So that's the 8 a.m. turn of the 5th of May. All right. So, what happened? Biggest thing, first of all, well, not the biggest thing. Well, we won't start off with the biggest thing. The combined Commonwealth U.S. Task Force finished refueling at Cairns and went ahead and started steaming at 2 spaces. They're burning a little bit of fuel, but they want to get kind of up here on station just to cover this gap because the Japanese task force, the Port Moresby invasion force, is getting close to getting through here, and they just happen to step also right into the range of these submarines here. So the U.S. got a chance to try to spot them, didn't spot the submarines, or the submarines didn't spot the task force, so nothing there. The Japanese submarine task force down here did the Tangiers, USS Tangiers, the seaplane tender, did stumble across it, and over a couple turns, the Japanese subs found them and put her to the bottom. So the U.S. did lose their seaplane tender right here due to submarine action, and the U.S. submarine actions up here. Well, the surviving submarine, because there was only one submarine left in there. The other one was sunk yesterday. Didn't make contact. They know they're there. They couldn't get any good firing solutions. No casualties or anything inflicted. The Japanese, the Maru, their seaplane tender and a couple escorts started moving in a little bit close. So they're within 2 spaces now, so they can start doing some anti-submarine warfare there. Lots of activity with the U.S. and Japanese carrier task forces. I think the Japanese carrier task force started up here. She pretty much came down into this direction where she is here. The U.S. task force kind of steaming back and forth. So both of the carrier task forces are about, I want to say, 60 miles away from each other, 120 miles. What is the, I always forget what the operational scale is on the, or what the scale is. Let me check that real quick. Component, tables, counters, data sheets, log sheets. What about map? Where's the map? How big is the map? 36 nautical miles across. So yeah, they're about 70, 80 miles away from each other right now. And the dawn is just cropping up. So I have a feeling this is probably going to be the last turn I may do this, or well, one of the last videos I do, because if they both carriers spot each other, they're going to try to savage each other, and it's going to come down to whichever strike ends up doing the most damage, which is typically how most carrier engagements worked. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what the outcome is here, but I think we're probably going to get close to wrapping up this video playthrough. Let's see what else happened. That was pretty much everything that happened. There really wasn't anything of any much interest that went on. So let's go ahead and start going through our turns. Let's see. Check weather. So we roll a 6, 1, 2. It will go to calm, but it's already calm. On a 6, it goes towards cloudy, which could make things interesting. Nope. It remains clear. Clear skies all over the place. Okay, aircraft. Assign aircraft in ready boxes to cap, search, or ASW missions. All right, now this is going to be kind of important for the rest of the day because this is going to determine what all happens. Now, I think Raboul and Gasmata would continue. No, part of me thinks that since the task force is getting close to Port Moresby, I think Gasmata would probably try to bomb Port Moresby. So let's take a look at what Gasmata has. I know they've got 3 bomber squadrons. Yeah, they've got 3 bomber squadrons. They've got a fighter squadron. Does the fighter squadron have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Okay, so the fighter squadron has range. So let's go ahead and leave Gasmata on ready because they will probably be bombing. So if I get the camera over there, bombing Port Moresby, Rabaul, they will continue to put aircraft on search mode. So let's go ahead and just put these guys out here so we know they're on search. All right, the Japanese seaplane tender, they know American subs are in the area. They know the American subs have been hitting Task Force 2. They are not going to worry themselves more about search. They are going to go on to ASW. So where is the Maru? Kamikawa Maru. So she's going to place both of her seaplane squadrons, or half squadrons anyways. She's going to place them on ASW because they want to try to spot those American subs. So we'll put them on focus, ASW. Now, the Japanese task force itself, the let's see, the Shoho. Shoho's probably, they're going to probably, well, let's see even what the Shoho has. They've got a fighter, and they've got, what is that, 2 fighters? Let's see, A5M4. There's the problem with me not knowing the Japanese aircraft at a glance. Let's see, A5M4 is the, oh, that's the Claude. Okay, that's a fighter. And then, of course, A6M2. That's the Zero. So, yeah, the Neo Show, or not the Neo Show, it's the American tender. The Shoho doesn't even have any search. Well, I could put the fighters on search, but there's no point in doing that. But they are getting close to Port Moresby, so let's say they're going to put their aircraft on cap because they are kind of getting close to be within strike range from the aircraft to Port Moresby. All right, now Shokaku, Juikaku. I think both of them they still think the American they think this was the American carrier group. They had misidentified it. They knew she was somewhere in this area, so they know that the American, quote unquote, the American carriers are somewhere in this area. They just don't realize what they are. So what I think they would probably do is that they would finally break down and say, yeah, let's take some dive bombers, put them on reconnaissance. So, yeah, let's take a squadron of dive bombers from each the Shokaku and Juikaku. See if I can find another dive bomber squadron. All right, so there we go. 2 squadrons of dive bombers on search. Okay, one thing we also can't forget is that the ships of the task force, let's see if any of them have seaplane. No, I don't see any. Oh, no, there are a couple. All right. So you also have to remember that the ships of a task force can have ships that have seaplane tenders on or seaplanes on them. So those can be launched, but I think they're only good for a range of 6 hexes, and I think you need at least 3 ships to equal a half step. So let me check that real quick. Air missions, searches 11.0. Fighter escort, cruiser float planes. In addition to aircraft represented by the counters, every 3 cruisers or battleships, ignore fractions, so you have to have a full 3, with a float plane icon may add 1 step of search aircraft within a range of 6. Okay, so, oops, zoom, focus. So, all right, so I only have 2 cruisers in there that have float planes, so I need at least 3 ships that have float planes to equal a step. They don't have it. Doesn't even count as a half step. I need 3 planes. I don't have 3 ships in there with float planes, so I'm not going to be able to add any. But that is a good thing to know. Now let's take a look at the American task force. 1, 2, 3. Yep, there's 3 cruisers right there with float planes. 4, 5. Wow, we may even get 5. Nope, just 5. Looks like there's just 5. Maybe one more stack to look at. Nope. So just 5. So the Americans are going to get one step of search aircraft from their cruiser float planes, from the Yorktown and Lexington Task Force. Now, actually, I should probably figure out what the rest of the Japanese forces are going to do. Okay, so we need to figure out what their fighters are going to do. Let's see. We've got 1, 2. Okay, so we've got 2 fighter counters on each ship. I don't. We're going to roll randomly for it. So we're going to go to the random table. And fighters. So if it's a 1 through 9, they're going to be on cap. 10 through 16 is going to be an escort. 17 through 20, I think I'm going to put them on escort as well. So yeah, 1 through 9 is going to be cap. 10 through 20 is going to be a sweep. So there's 4 steps. So the first 2 steps on the Juikaku. 18 is going to be escort, and the 2 from the Juikaku. 16 is escort. And escort. All right, so they're going to put everything on escort. They've got nothing on cap. They believe in their ability that they are going to find the American carriers. And I probably should have decided what I was going to do with my air support before finding out what the Japanese were going to do. Oh, well. Okay, so what are the Americans going to do? The Americans, in turn, from the Lexington and Yorktown, are going to take one of their dive bomber squadrons and put them on search. So 1 each from the Lexington and the Yorktown. Yeah, we're not going to be seeing the big, huge negative modifiers for searching. Yeah, we're probably going to spot each other real easy. I was thinking maybe if it was a little bit cloudy, that might give somebody a little bit. No, it's not cloudy. It's clear skies for days. All right, what else do we have? We got the Tangier. They're sunk. They went to the briny deep. That's too bad. All right, what do we have? Port Moresby. They've got we've got a PBY. Really, just the PBY out of Port Moresby. About the only thing that can. Well, they do have, no, those A-20, well, the A-24s are dive bombers. No, they're not going to put the A-24s out as dive bombers out as recon. Cairns has got some Air Cobra fighters and PBY, so the PBYs will go up on search. Townsville has got nothing that's really gotten range. Espirito Santo has got... Again, really nothing that's got the range to reach anything, except she's got a squadron of B-17s. Now, do I want to use these B-17s to search, or use them as a strike against the troop transports at Talugi? That is a very good question, Mr. Heinley. What do we want? Well, we've got some B-25s here. Those the Mitchells. I don't think they've got the range for anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they don't have the range. They just don't have the range to reach anything. So really, it's just the B-17s. What do I want to do with them? Well, it's only a half step. Now, you know what? Let's go ahead and put them on a strike. Let's go ahead and if we think. Well, we know our submarines up here, so if they can make contact, they'll go ahead and give us contact of that, and then I can assign the B-17s to do bombing missions. All right, so I think that's all the aircraft from everybody that I want to assign for anything. Okay, so where's my chart at? Getting close to being the end. Okay, write orders for fleets for required number of turns ahead. Yada yada yada. Air search and ASW patrols are executed. All right. You know what? Let's go ahead and start off with the ASW patrols up here from the Kamikawa Maru. Let's see. Let's take a look at air search. I believe air search modifiers is exactly the same, only you're looking at a 6. Because I knew there was... It seemed a little rough unless you have... stacks and stacks of 10.9 of aircraft, you're not really going to spot submarines, which on one hand makes sense, but okay, 10.9. During the air patrol phase, may place aircraft on ASW patrol, may not undertake any other yada 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 yada. During the air search phase, aircraft on ASW patrol may search for any submarines. ASW player declares an ASW search, indicates the base from which the search is being conducted, and the shortest range of the aircraft making the searches, rolling one dice and adding any modifiers to the air search table. On a roll result of 6 or more, the search finds the submarines. If an enemy submarine flotilla is within range of the ASW search, the owning player must indicate the zone, and then if it's located, roll a 6 a second time. On a second roll of 6, submarine from the flotilla is destroyed. All right, so we use our normal air search modifiers, and we've got range 2. So, okay, we don't have 3 to 4 steps. Now, search plane or float planes count double when doing ASW. So we've got, I should probably put those out there. Oh, I do kind of have them out there. I've got them listed on the sheet. So I've got 2 half steps of float planes. So that basically equals 1 step, but it's double. So I got 2 steps of float planes. But that doesn't get me 3 to 4 steps to search aircraft. Okay, task force side of last turn. Nope, nope. And fighters. Nope, 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 all the way across. So we're looking at a 6. No modifiers at all. We need a 6 for the ASW. To find anything, nope. Nope, 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 nope. I will comment right now that I think that submarines are way too powerful in this game. It's real. I don't know if I've just been rolling bad dice with, how I've been, my ships or my submarines have been savaging the Tulagi invasion force, plus how easily the Tangiers was sunk at nighttime. Not real happy with how the submarine warfare in this game works, but, c'est la vie, it is what it is. Not that I can do anything about it. All right, searches. Now we got normal searches. How do we want to start this off? Okay, so we've got Raboul, which has got... They can go at 20. They can see pretty much anything. For 5 steps. So let's go ahead and see if we can spot this guy first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 spaces. Is there really anybody? No, really anybody else. All right, so searches. We got 5 steps of aircraft, which is +2. 9 zones away, which is -4. So 3, 4, 5. I need a 5. No weather modifiers or anything like that. So I need a 5 to spot the... Nope, 4 does not spot the combined U.S. Commonwealth Task Force. No ASW there. I've got a half step here and a half step here. These guys probably want to... Their half step isn't going to be able to affect anything. However, this half step from Mooresby, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So they could spot 6 is a +2, or no, 6 is a -2. So I need 3, 4, 5. That's the really only modifiers we've got. So I need a 5 to spot that task force, which is a 1, which is nothing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need a 6 to spot those guys. Nothing. No searches there. All right, so basically now it's coming down to the carrier task forces. Now they could... Okay, now we got to really kind of run the numbers. We've got 5 steps from Raboul that can throw in, but then we would take Raboul as being the farthest away airbase, and that would give us a -4 modifier. So we get 5 steps, it'd be a +2. And then the 2 more steps from the carriers, whoops, flip everybody over, which will actually give them 7, which will be a +3 modifier, but a -4 for the range. Because remember, if you add in aircraft from a base, you take whatever the furthest base that they're operating from as their modifier. So that'll be a, what, plus Seven steps is +3. 9 zones away from search base is -4, which would be 4. I'd need a 4 to spot them. But if I just use the 2 steps from here, which will actually be 4 steps because there's 2 units and each one of them is full strength, so that's 4 steps, which would be +1. Range is, there is no modifier for range, so then it would be a 2. So yeah, if I add in the recon from Raboul and get all those extra steps, yes, it gives me 7+ steps of search aircraft, but the range is more, it's maximum range. So I'm looking at 4s to hit, whereas if I just use the dive bombers from the Shokaku and Juikaku, we're looking at a 2 to find them because it's -1. And conversely, the U.S., and we're going to be doing the same thing with the U.S. U.S. is going to be as a 2 as well. All right, so basically what we're coming down to is we've got a 1 in 6 chance on both sides basically losing the war, or basically losing this fight, because if one group spots the other, I forgot to say what the American fighters were doing. What are the American fighters going to do? Will they go on escort, or will they go on cap? Will they go on escort, or will they go? You know what? Let's just split the difference. Half the fighters on escort, half the fighters on cap. How about that? So we got 1 squadron on cap, 1 squadron on strike, 1 squadron on cap, and 1 squadron on strike. Which is honestly, even if I'd have chosen that before I rolled for what the Japanese fighters were going to do, it's probably what I was going to do anyways. I get very nervous about not having any fighters over my carriers. All right, so basically both sides needs a 2 or better to spot each other. If one of them rolls a 6, then they're going to get the bejesus bombed out of them. All right. We'll go with the Japanese task force first. They are searching for the Americans. 4, they spot the Americans. Now the Americans spotting the Japanese. Again, 1 in 6 chance. 6. All right, so, and this is typically what happens in most carrier engagements. Both sides, let's turn this cockeyed so we know that they've been spotted. I'm sure both sides are extremely shocked to find the enemy carriers. The Japanese carriers were probably a little bit more prepared because they had an idea that they thought the Neosho, the Oiler, were the carriers. So they knew, quote unquote, that the American carriers were in this area. So the American carriers being up here, oh, you know what? We actually need to roll to see. That's right, intelligence. Oh, but anyways, so it's not a surprise that the American carriers could come from down here, quote unquote American carriers, again, remembering that they thought the Neosho, they had no idea that the American carriers were operating in this area the entire time. So, okay, and then the U.S., historically, the U.S. were figuring the Japanese carriers were right around here at this time. So it's probably a little shocked that they're that far south. All right, but now we got to roll for intelligence. And we should probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so it's 6. So we got to see if we can find these guys as well. So it's 6 spaces away. So it's a -2 at a +1 for 4 steps of search aircraft. So actually, the Japanese need a 4 to spot those guys. 3, so they don't even spot those guys. So yeah, since they completely don't know these, they're still assuming that when they spotted the Neosho and her 2 escorts, it was the American carriers. So, all right, so Japanese. Now, what's it going to be? 5. So intelligence. It would have been really bad if it had been a 3. All right, so 5 is number of ships rounded to 5, not type. So yeah, okay. So the Japanese would now realize that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, roughly 15 ships. And they would go, yeah, that's the American task. That's the American carrier group. And the U.S., their intelligence on the Japanese, 10. Thankfully, it wasn't a 3. types of ships, and plus or minus 10 of each type. So yeah, they would also realize that, oh my God, there could be plus or minus 10. Yeah, they've got, let's see, how many ships has the Japanese got in the, they've got a lot less ships, honestly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, the Japanese are a little bit outnumbered ship-wise. So yeah, the Americans would know that those are the Japanese. All right, so bam, we found each other, and that kind of happened historically as well in the original fight. That the search planes spotted the other carriers virtually with, I think it was like within 5 minutes of each other, and the airstrikes were launched within 5 minutes of each other, and the airstrikes arrived over each other's carriers roughly the same time. So air search and ASW patrols are executed. We just did that. Assign aircraft and ready boxes to airstrike missions. Yeah, I think we've already decided that. Yeah, all right, we found them. Launch Alpha Strike. Okay, now move fleets. Let's go ahead and do the Japanese fleets first. Let's see, these guys will move here. I'm just going to say these guys are going to catch up with the task force that they should have been covering for most of the game, but have been piddling around. Is this an even turn or is it an odd turn? It is an odd number turn. So, okay, there's that. These guys, this is going to say they're going to move right there, because they want to try to give ASW escort, and besides which, as soon as Tulagi is secured, the seaplanes from there are going to be assigned to the Tulagi, or to Tulagi anyways. Japanese submarines, it's not an odd turn, so we can't move the subs. Subs only move on evens. So that's Japanese. U.S. task force. Let's just go with the combined right here. Let's go back to one movement point, because we really have not had contact and we don't want to get too close to the Japanese bombers and strike aircraft from Gasmata. So let's go with the Task Force 5, one fuel point. These guys would probably continue, or the Neosho and her supply sisters would probably still be pulling back a little bit. These guys, I think they would have probably, and again, you're going to have to allow me some leniency on this. I'm not writing a turn ahead. Look, I should, but these guys would probably have continued this way, because again, they would still be thinking the Japanese carriers were this way, so they'd probably want to get a little bit closer. And the Japanese carriers, well, you can't move 3 hex spaces or more and launch the airstrike. So let's see what their speed is going to be. 9 is full speed, but you can't move full. And their full speed is going to be 3, but you can't move 3 and launch aircraft. So they're going to move 2. So let's see what directions they're going to end up moving. Again, we're going to go this direction. Let's say V-26 is their target, because they think that's where they thought the American carriers were at. Would they still actually be going that way? No, I don't think so. I think they've gotten close enough now that they probably would have started to back off. So let's back off this way as their desired direction. 19 is right and away from desired direction. So they were going this way, so right and away would be right here. Oh, God. What's their second movement going to be? That could be real interesting. 12, right of desired location. Oh my God. Right of desired location. I'll put them right in there. You know what? I'm going to do my Deus Ex Machina. I'm going to play God. I'm going to say they're only going to move 1 space. So yeah, we're going to put them right there like that, because I don't want to try to figure out, all right, we're launching strikes, but they're in the same space of shooting at each other. Yeah, these carriers should not be this. Although historically, I mean, at one point, in the 1800 of one of the days, they were about 60 miles away from each other. Okay, now granted, we're about 30 or 40 miles away from each other now, just barely over the horizon. But yeah, I think that's I think that's a good position for both of them to be at. We'll take a quick pause real quick so I can download this. I really need to get I really need to get a bigger hard drive for this phone, but I can't because that would require getting a new phone. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, okay, we're back. I went ahead and shifted the table as well from a perspective of looking down on the operational map and shifted it to where we could have easy access to the tactical map, because I have a feeling we're going to have some airstrikes here real soon and we're going to need this map. All right, so what do we got next? Next turn-wise is, we did move fleets. Check for contact between surface fleets, resolve tactical combat. None. Check for contact space submarines and resolve submarine attacks. All right, we actually do have a couple. Zoom way in. We've got these guys here that can contact either the carrier or the sea tender or the transports, and then the American submarines at the Japanese transports from the Port Moresby invasion force. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and start that off. We're just going to do the U.S. against the transports again. Now we need to roll to see if we make contact, which is a 9 or more. Let's see, ASW. That's ASW. We're not doing ASW. Time to pull out the rules again. All right, submarine. 16.3 for contact. 16.3. Submarine player chooses one of the task forces, announces how many submarines will attempt to contact, rolls 2 dice for each submarine of the flotilla that attempts to make contact with the task force. Add 1 to the result. The task force did not enter a new sea zone. 9, submarine made contact with, but could not achieve a firing solution. 10, made contact. 11, 12, yada, yada, yada. All right, so we're going after the Japanese task force, or not the Japanese, the Tulagi invasion force first. So we get a +1 to the dice roll. 2, oh God, no. So 2 + 1 is 3. And the other submarine flotilla, which is going after the Port Moresby task force, which I believe... Nope, those are Japanese. Let's make sure we're looking at the right friggin'... has got 3 submarines in it, 1 Gato and 2 S-boats. So it's got 3 attempts. Start with the Gato. And it's going to be a 9 or actually I do need a 10 or better, because the Port Moresby invasion force did move a new space this turn. So first submarine, no contact. First S-boat. 8, no contact. Third S-boat. Possible. 6. Right there. Bam, 12. So the third S-boat in Flotilla 2. Way up there. Way right. Now, my finger's too big. Right there. Does make contact. And because they make contact, and since I rolled a 12, I believe I get to choose any ship in the... flotilla as my target. On a result of 12 or greater, submarine made contact may attack any ship in the task force. So yeah, they came right across. Ooh, but we have some anti-submarine warfare that can go on. What is ASW? Let's see. Have a sub attacks a task force. Okay, so if it attacks it, so we do have an attack. Task force player rolls 1 dice. The task force contains at least 1 aircraft carrier with aircraft on ASW, at least 1 destroyer, escort, or torpedo boat, and applies all modifiers. On a result of 6, driven off. 7, it is sunk. 8 is sunk after having fired its torpedoes. All right, so we've got... Actually, we don't have... Okay, so the problem with the Port Moresby invasion force. Well... we do have some destroyers. And I don't believe these guys are operating as troop transports. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 destroyers. And let's put those back on the sheet. 5 destroyers. Take a look at the modifiers for ASW. Attack is on a minor port. Nope. Made in shallow water. Nope. For every 5 DD or DE in the task force, so +1. Every 5 steps of ASW. Nope. Submarine commander. Nope. Knight. Nope. Rain. Nope. Squall. Nope. So it's a +1 for anti-submarine warfare. Roll 1 6-sided dice for the ASW against the S-boat. We got a 5, +1 is a 6, which is what we kind of needed. I think 6 is just driven off. I know, I just read it, but I forget. On a result of the 6, the submarine is driven off, no losses to either side. On a roll of 7, the sub is sunk. On a roll of 8, sub is sunk after it gets the torpedoes off. All right, so I did make contact with them. So let's see what our contact result is, because you roll contact with submarines just like you do with air searches. So we've got a 7, which I think is best case scenario. Yeah, actual numbers and types of ships. So yeah, all right, I know everything that's in that task force. And let's go ahead and turn it on its side. And the Japanese are also now aware that there are submarines in the area. And that's a bad thing for them. Okay, come on. Stop being so tight. Okay, so that's submarines. Airstrikes missions planned in Step 5 are executed. There we go. Well, we know what's going to happen. We know the U.S. strikes are assigned. Now, I do have aircraft that are ready at Port Moresby that could do a strike, but since I didn't spot the Port Moresby invasion force until after the aircraft are assigned, I can't actually assign them because you assign the aircraft before you do the subs contact. So I can do it next turn, hopefully, but not this turn, even though I've got aircraft on ready station, ready to launch a strike. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Now we have to... Okay, so yeah, both sides, launch all the aircraft. The aircraft take off. Yeah, I haven't been doing any aircraft takeoff and landing rolls because it hasn't been important. There hasn't been enough modifiers to make it even possible. So let's see. Air search, air strike. All right. Let's see. Let's take a look at the airstrike. Dice roll modifiers. Target sighted this turn, +1. Range to target is 2 or less, +1. Target is unloading or bombarding, nope. Range to target 8 to 11, nope. Range to target 12 or more, nope. So we need a 3 or better, but we have 2 modifiers. Target strike this turn, +1 to the dice roll. Range is 2 or less, +1 to the dice. So it is a 1 in 6 chance. Again, we kind of saw this happen last time when the Japanese did the strike against the supposed American group. Of course, the modifiers were a lot worse, and the aircraft failed to find their destination. So Japanese first. Again, this is just about like the search. If they don't spot each other, then whoever does get spotted is probably going to end up losing the operation. So we'll roll for the Japanese strike first to see if they get themselves above target. 2. All right, just barely. And just because, let's get it out of the way now, the American strike, this is going to be horrible if they actually roll a 1. No, 5. Okay, so they're good. So both strikes find each other, and aircraft comes screaming down out of the sky. We'll do the Japanese strike first. So let's go ahead and just kind of line up what we have, because we do have some cap and we do have some interceptors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now why do I have more? I think one of the carriers did have a half step more of something. So anyways, let's find the fighters. Is that a fighter? I do kind of wish that okay, yeah, granted, you got the upside down diamond on there for the dive bombers like that, and you got the circled. All right, so those are the strike craft, dive bombers, and torpedo bombers. Lots of torpedo bombers. Dive bomber, torpedo bombers. All right, so the Japanese put all their fighters on escort. So we've got that there. The U.S. has 2 fighter squadrons on escort. All right, so let's take a look at how interception aircraft interception works. Yeah, I know. U.S. are way, way, way outnumbered. Yeah, and definitely we're one space away from each other on the operational map. I didn't really bother to worry about counting if they were within range because there was like 9, and then if there's over 6 steps forming up, you subtract 2 from that range. So, yeah, I think the aircraft that had the worst range are the dive bombers, and so they've got a range of 13, halved for going out and back and rounded up, which would be 7, minus 2 for the forming up for more than 6 steps of aircraft. So yeah, they've got a range of 5. Their strike is a range of 5. We're 1 step away. I think we're good to go. All right, so let's. Where is airstrikes, air-to-air combat 12.0? Okay, air-to-air combat. Oh yeah, that's right. Air combat occurs when CAP successfully intercept an enemy. Okay, no, I've got to actually successfully intercept. So where is successfully intercepting? Because I may not be able to intercept them. Mission, sweep, escort, transfer, escort. There we go. That's not it. Forming up, returning, cap groups, endurance, combat air patrol. Okay, the cap player rolls 1 dice to subtract 1 from the result from each zone the intercepting cap aircraft entered. Well, we're only going to subtract 1. Rolls 1 dice and subtracts 1 from the... Okay, yeah, so I need a 3 or more. The cap aircraft successfully intercept and battle result. So my cap may not even intercept them. 4, okay, so 3 or more. The cap did intercept them. So my 2 squadrons, F4Fs, are going up against a whole buttload of Japanese zeros. Air-to-air combat. Strike mission player places his or her strike aircraft and any escort on the table. There we go. Combat is then conducted as follows. Resolve combat between the escort and cap forces. The cap player first announces which of his or her aircraft will attack which enemy aircraft. 1 cap aircraft must be allocated to attack each escort aircraft before a second aircraft may be assigned to attack an escort aircraft, and so on. No more than 3 aircraft may be assigned to attack a single enemy aircraft. If the cap player has more fighters in the escort, at least 1 fighter has been assigned. He can assign to addition to attack strike, yada yada yada. Don't have that. Once the cap player has chosen targets, he or she rolls 1 dice for each air-to-air factor and applies any modifiers. On a result of 6, a hit is achieved. Strike player now allocates his or her escort aircraft to attack cap aircraft using the same method as above. Each hit reduces the target aircraft by 1 step. Since air combat results take place immediately, a strike aircraft destroyed by cap attack may still return fire before being removed from play. Aircraft with boxed air-to-air factors may only fire an enemy aircraft attacking them. Yeah. Once aircraft is resolved between cap and escort aircraft, those cap aircraft which were not hit by escort aircraft may attack the strike craft. I'm getting a little bit long and confusing there than I know. Cap aircraft may attack strike aircraft in any combination. Cap player is not required to allocate 1 cap aircraft to every strike aircraft before allocating a second one. Once combat is resolved between cap and strike, all surviving strike use this procedure if cap intercepts a flight with a sweeper transfer mission as well. Okay, so out of all that... Okay, so what's the first thing we do? I'm on cap. The U.S. are on cap. So, I mean, I'm facing off against... let's just go ahead and face off against full steps. So, assign F4Fs against zeros, F4Fs against zeros. All right, so then we take a look at our air-to-air modifiers. Air search, land bombing, that's anti-aircraft. Air-to-air combat fighters. Cap fighter attacking 1 level above rated level. That's, medium, high, low. Our aircraft are both medium. Aircraft with circled air-to-air factor attacking aircraft with uncircled factor. Yeah, well, that's not the case because we're going fighter on fighter. No modifiers. So the U.S. have got 3 dice that they can roll. So we've got 3 dice here against that. And nothing. And then the other F4F group, 3 dice. Nothing. All right, now the Japanese can stack up their attacks. So they've got basically 6 and 6. Which is probably going to do bad things to the USF-4s. Oh, 1 hit. That's it. Oops, I should probably show it. So 1 hit. So they're reduced. And then the other strike, or the other swirling air combat, yeah, 2. So that will eliminate that F4F squadron. Then, and I know I just read it, but I think because I have survivors, that surviving group can go on to strike one of the Japanese. Escorting each route reduces, yada yada. Oh, those cap aircraft which were not hit by escorting aircraft may attack the strike force. What is that defined as? Those cap aircraft which were not hit by escorting aircraft may attack the strike force. Do they mean by step or do they mean by counter? I think they mean by counter. So I don't think my survivors can actually intercept. So let's go ahead and put them to the side on the flight box. And let's go ahead. Kind of had a feeling that that was going to happen. There were just too many zeros in the sky. Way too many zeros in the sky. And, you know, at that stage of the war, the Zero was a better fighter than the F4F. So we'll just have that set up like that. And now they're attacking the task force. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all the ships from the combined task force. Because remember, I combined task force 1 and 2 together. And let's go ahead. Let's put one, since I'm going to have these upside down, so I don't know what they are, to try to kind of keep with a fog of war. Let me find where the other carrier is. All right. Remember, you have to have at least one space between. So we're going to go like that. Now we got the rest of the ships. Let's mix up the ships a little bit and just start placing them out there. So we have no idea what any of these ships are. Oops, can't do that, not right there. That. I have at least one space in between them. Does that work? Yeah, no, okay, we can put that there. Now I've still got ships. So let's go like right there, right there, there. Try to give a little bit of support. That's a lot of ships I got, damn. Didn't realize how many ships I had. All right, so that's the American task force that's set up. Now the Japanese get to set up their strike aircraft. Now, I could dump everything on the carriers, but then pretty much everything around them will be able to support a lot of anti-aircraft fire. So, do I want to break it up to put some of the aircraft on the carriers and then some of the other aircraft on the ships themselves to try to pull off some of the anti-aircraft fire from the aircraft attacking the carriers? Or do I just want to put everything on the carriers? I'm trying to remember. You know what? Let's put. Not like that. And of course, the yard people are out making lots of loud noises. So I'd put that there. Put that there. Do we want to pull off? No, you know what? Let's just go full hog wild. Let's go full out, full press. Oops. on the American carriers. All right, so let's flip over all the ships to see what we ended up with so we can figure out anti-aircraft values. All right, so everybody who's not going to be able to provide anti-aircraft fire, let's just go ahead and pull them off the board, because for all intents and purposes, they are not involved in this fight in the least. All right. So, anti-aircraft fire. Anti-aircraft fire is the number in the little reticle with the orange or red or orange. What is that? Red, orange, well, whatever. All right, so let's start with the Yorktown. She's got an anti-aircraft value of 5. This is why you start to need buckets of dice. And then every ship around her that provides anti-aircraft value is halved. So let's go Chester, 1. She's got an anti-aircraft value of 1. Oops. Focus. Of 1. Halved, but rounded up is going to be 1. The Dewey is going to throw in 1. The Alwyn is going to throw in 1. And the Phelps is going to throw in 1. I think that's good. Yeah. All right, so, whoops. Of course, none of you can see what was just happening. The Chester, the Dewey, the Alwyn, and the Phelps. So that's how much dice we're looking at, and that's what we're rolling. Let's check just to make sure I understand anti-aircraft again. Yes, I know, I've done anti-aircraft half a dozen times, but I always keep forgetting. I mean, I'm fairly certain, and if I was playing without recording, I just go ahead and start rolling dice. But as we were trying to get these procedurally as much as we can correct, where's anti-aircraft? Where is anti-aircraft? Defensive air-to-air combat, airstrikes. Let's just go back there and try to find it. Aircraft down, air-to-air combat. No, that's air-to-air combat. Defensive, nope. Sweeps, airstrikes, naval strikes, anti-aircraft. There we go. Strength is half. Total of values. Roll a number of dice equal to the ship's modified A value and add any applicable modifiers. We have none on a roll of 6. 1 step of attacking aircraft may not attack. Half of those steps not allowed to attack or destroyed. Okay, so yeah, that's one thing that they did change from Volume 1 to Volume 2. I know the way it's supposed to work. It doesn't go with what's written in the book. So 1 point of damage. Okay, so 1 step. Okay, on a roll of 6, 1 step of attacking aircraft may not attack. Half of those steps not allowed to attack are destroyed. Okay. Yeah, all right. So we've got a lot of dice, but not many 6s that could possibly crop up. Where's my dice cup? Too far away. Let's go ahead. And there is no modifier. In fact, the only modifiers this game has is, I think, 1943... The U.S., yeah, American after November 1944, their anti-aircraft value goes to gets a +1, so hits on 5s instead of 6s. So hopefully we can get some 6s. All right, we got 1 6. All right, so 1 step is not going to be able to attack. So let's just say this step right here is not going to be able to attack. However, it's not destroyed. I needed at least 2 hits for that. This could be very, very bad for the Yorktown. Let's take a look at the Lexington. We got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we got 9 dice, which is the same amount. Firing at the Lexington, or firing anti-aircraft cover the Lexington. Give me some more 6s. Nothing. Not a single 6. God damn it. This is going to be very bad for the U.S. The Japanese are going to have to roll really, really badly now. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Yorktown. Let's go with dive bombers first. We've got 4. So we got 4 dice. I don't think there's any modifiers to hit. Let's see. There might be. Let's see. Bombing and air launched. Naval factor is circled. Aircraft is dive bomber. High altitude. Yeah, so really, naval attack factor circled. Attacker is dive bomber. I mean, what does it define as being circled when, well, I guess there is a circle around it. Yeah, naval attack value circled. So, all right, so all the aircraft are circled, so that's +1, and dive bombers get another +1, so that's 4. So the Japanese are looking at 4 state with their dive bombers. And a hit on a 6. Oh, nothing. Yorktown dodges all those bombs. Now the torpedoes, got 5 dice and 3 dice. Oh, torpedoes are going to hurt. All right, so now they're circled, but they're not dive bombers, so I need 5 to hit with the torpedo planes. Lots of dice, lots of dice, lots of dice. There's a good safe place to roll it right here. 5s are better. Oh, my God. Oh, so lucky, so lucky, like so lucky, so lucky. Odds said 3 of those should have hit. 1 hit. All right, so we got 1 torpedo strike that slammed into the Yorktown. Let's see what the damage for the Yorktown is. Let's see what the damage for the Yorktown is. 7, which is 3 hulls and secondary. All right. Nothing to... she can take it. The Yorktown can't take much more than that. But her deck didn't get messed up, which is good. Oh, this is... what did I say? Hulls? Yes, 3 hulls and secondary. Well, let's take a look. Who is that? That is the Yorktown. So the Yorktown, no flight deck hits. She's got no secondaries, no tertiaries. So it will be hull. So she's not quite as armored as the Lexington, but it's 3 hull boxes. So she is still good to go. She didn't lose half of her hull boxes. So that's not gonna, let me take that said secondaries. Let me see what the actual chart, the revised and updated chart that I have for, I rolled a 7, right? Yeah, 7, torpedo, 1 secondary. See deck hit, section, and gunnery damage. Okay, so there could have been a deck hit. Okay, so let's go back to the gunnery section. Back to the rulebook. I was very, very lucky on the Yorktown. Most importantly is her deck didn't get hurt. Okay, torpedo combat, torpedo restrictions, torpedo declaration. Multiple groups, torpedo limitations, ship's damage. Destroyed gunnery, torpedo hits, dead in water, aircraft carriers. Oh, okay, here we go. Aircraft carriers, CV, CVE, CVL, but not CVS. Hit records contain flight deck boxes, which are used to record damage affecting the aircraft's ability to launch and recover aircraft. When a hit on a primary or secondary gun is achieved on an aircraft carrier, mark off 1 deck box in addition to the normal damage. General, tertiary, followed by A hits as normal as they do not have primary or secondary guns. All right, so she took 1 secondary hit, which is going to mess up one of her flight deck points. Let's see if we can find it again. So... all right, so the Yorktown took the 3 hull hits, but she also ends up taking 1 secondary hit, which will reduce her flight deck operations from 15 to 11, which isn't too crippling. That's how many steps she can actually launch. So it is going to hurt, but whatever. She took 1 secondary, no secondary, which goes to no secondary at all, which collapses down to AA. So her AA. Okay, so there we go. Her AA is now, instead of a 5, it's now a 3, all from 1 torpedo strike. I'll pull those guys off. Put them down here. Half hour to do that. Let me download this again, and we'll come back and do the Lexington's damage, or the strikes on the Lexington. All right, so that was the Yorktown. Now let's take a look at the Lady Lex. She's got dive bombers and 2 torpedo bombers. So the dive bombers we knew are 4s to hit. And they've got 4 attack dice. Needing 6s. 1 right down the pipe. Boom! Not good at all. Ugh, icky poo. All right, so gunnery damage table. Remember, this is with plunging damage. So let's roll location. 9 is primary. Up. Yep, that that's gonna be kind of bad. And I've jacked my dice up, or my crap. Oh well, I'll worry about that later. So 2 of those should be from the Neo show. I messed up some of my counters over here on my. So actually, those are fighters, so those are on the Shoho, and those other 2 are from the Kamikaru Maru, and they're on ASW. Right? Okay, good. Back to being ready. Okay, gotcha. All right, so what was that? It was primary, and since this is plunging fire, let's check just to make sure what plunging fire means to the primary, which is going to be the flight deck. Gunnery combat hits. Torpedo hits. Multiple groups. Torpedo damage. Destroyed gunnery. Dead in water. Foundry. That doesn't tell me anything. See, if I played this game more, I'd know these rules better. Excess damage. Oh, here we go. Excess damage. When a box protected by light or no armor is damaged, roll 1 additional dice for each hit. On a roll of 4 through 6, 1 additional box. Okay, so that's excessive damage. However, I do know that these are armored. The deck is armored. Let's see. Aircraft carriers. But what about plunging damage? Because I believe plunging damage is an extra hit or a hit on the hull. Ship damage. Restrictions to gunnery. Hits. Multiple groups. I know it's in here someplace. Dead in water. Retreat. Nope. Foundering. Emergency repairs. Penetration. Oh, plunging fire. Bombs from aircraft destroy a second hull box on a result of 10 on the gunnery damage table. All right, so neither one of those are going to take place. I didn't roll a 10 on the damage. So let's take a look at the Lexington. Lexington. So she has, she doesn't have armored flight deck. She has armored hull. Balls. So she is going to take 1 flight deck hit, because that's what her primary guns would be. And then on a 4 through 6, takes another of that, because I know I just read it, and of course I don't remember it. Let's see. Excessive damage. When a damage, roll an additional dice. Okay, box of the same type is destroyed. So Another dice. 4 through 6. Nope, 4 through 6. So she just took one hit on her flight deck. So in the Japanese, they didn't really use very big bombs. They used like 500 pounders, I think. The U.S. dive bombers were dropping 1,000 pounders. So yeah, she. Oh no, that was just the dive bombers. Not done doing the attack yet. All right, so we've got 10. 10 torpedoes hitting the Lexington. Again, we're looking at 5s. Average is saying 3 are going to hit. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. 5. Ugh, no, 6. Oh. This is not good. This is not good at all for the Lexington. These are all torpedo damage, too. All right. Better get my sheet ready because I have a feeling the Lexington is going to go down to the bottom very quick. Well, she's got armored hulls, but I don't think that's going to help her against torpedoes. All right, so first one. 2 is too good. Ooh, 2 is good. No damage. So 1 torpedo hit, no damage. Next torpedo hit. 8, which is 3 hulls and 2 secondaries. That's not good. 1, 2, 3 hulls and 2 secondaries, which is going to be flight deck, I think. I think all unbelievable. I just did this like 10 minutes ago. Sometimes I get a little too much into the commentary and keeping the flow of the gameplay going and and it doesn't retain real well. I just read it. Torpedoes. Aircraft carriers. Yeah, when a hit on a primary or secondary gun is achieved against an aircraft carrier, mark off 1 deck box in addition to the normal damage. Generally tertiary followed by AA hits. All right, so let's see, we rolled a 8, so that's 3 hulls and 2 secondaries. So she'll end up taking 2 more deck hits in addition to her normal damage, which would be secondaries, which would go to the AA. So we have 2 AAs knocked off. Ugh. Yeah, she's not going to survive this. Next torpedo damage. 5, which is 2 hulls and a tertiary. No tertiary. Oh, she does have a tertiary. Okay, so mark tertiary off. Next torpedo strike. 10 is 4 hulls and a torpedo mount. She's got no torpedo mounts. 1, 2, 3, 4. She's got 1 hull box left. If I get another couple of 2s, maybe. 4, 5, 6 is 2 hulls. Yeah, that's going to finish her off. That is going to finish her off. So sunk. Lexington goes down to the bottom. Bloop, 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 bloop. Really quickly, too. She probably didn't get a chance to get all of her a lot of the sailors survived off, but those who did survive would be picked up rather quickly. So the Lexington sink to the bottom. Not good. Although historically, the U.S. did lose 1 carrier, so the U.S. strike needs to be on target. Those by the Shokaku and these by the Shokaku. So yeah, the Yorktown escaped by the skin of her teeth. Lexington did not. Depressing, but not really surprising. All right, so now we have the Japanese, or my strikes going to, or not my strikes, the U.S. strikes going to the Japanese. Let's go ahead and grab, and they have no cap on, so they don't have any escort. or any fighter escort. They put everything on escorting their fighters and their escorting their escorts, whatever. Derp, 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 derp. So let's go. And I'm sure there's a way that you could set these up to maximize all the anti-aircraft fire, but you know what? I haven't played the game enough to really know. And the Japanese do not have as many ships as the U.S., so they got to kind of be a little bit more careful and spreading out because they are not going to have the full level of anti-aircraft coverage that the U.S. had. So actually, it looks like they are going to get just as much coverage. All right, so the U.S. comes screaming in. And of course, we don't need to put the fighters on there, so we'll just put the fighters back here. And the fighter there. So what does that leave us? 4 dive bombers each, or four strikes of dive bombers, 1 of torpedo bombers. Just go ahead and spread out the love, like so. Take a look at the ships and what the anti-aircraft value is going to be. All right, let's take a look at the Juikaku first. They've got, what is her A value? 6. Oh, she's got a lot. 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so we've got 6, 7, 8, and 10 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anti-aircraft fire protecting the Shokaku. Again, we need 6s. All right, so 1 hit. So 1 step will not be able to strike. Let's say that's going to be one of the dive bomber steps. And then the anti-aircraft fire over the Juikaku gets 12 dice. Again, we're looking at 6s. 1, 2. All right, so let's see. How do we break that down? How do we break that down? That's searching, air damage, strike restrictions. Okay, on a result of 6, 1 step of attacking aircraft may not attack. Half of those steps not allowed to attack or destroy. So we got 2 steps that are not allowed to attack, and 1 step which will be flat out destroyed. So we're just going to go ahead and pull this guy off and flip him over. So anti-aircraft fire reduced him and prevented him from being able to do his strike. And we'll say that guy's from the Yorktown. All right, so there's the survivors we have. Dive bombers, these guys are actually attacking at a reduced step, so they've got 6 dice. Go ahead and turn him normally 6. But we're looking at 4s to hit because they're a dive bomber and a circled attack. Well, 2 hits. All right, so 2 hits isn't bad. So let's go ahead and figure out what is that, the Juikaku. Get the Japanese sheet out for the Juikaku. There they are. So, first one, 8 is secondary. No secondary becomes a tertiary. Okay, and the second strike is a 7, which is a primary. Or no, secondaries are also deck hits. So the first one would be a deck hit as well. And then the second one, 7, would be primary. There is no primary. That would be your flight deck. And then it would go on and do a point of damage as well, which would shift down to anti-aircraft. So her anti-aircraft, but she comes out of that relatively unscathed. However, her flight deck is messed up. She can only support 4 steps of aircraft now. That's not real good. So let's pull the American aircraft off. Send them back home. And then over the Shokaku, they've... Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I forgot to do the torpedo. You guys have got some TBDs in there as well. They've got 4 TBDs, dice worth. And they're looking at 5s to hit. Oh, there we go. There we go, baby. There we go. 3 hits. Bam, bam, bam. This will probably be the end of her. So 3 hits. 6 on 2 holes and 2 tertiaries. So 2 holes, boom, boom, 2 tertiaries, no tertiaries, collapse to AA. Okay, so that's, oh, no, those, oh no, it's primary or secondaries, not tertiaries. Okay, so that was the first point of damage, or the first torpedo. Second torpedo, 7 is 3 hulls and a secondary, so 3 hulls. Okay, 1, 2. She's under 50% hulls. She is now going to be at half speed. She took a secondary, which actually is going to be a flight deck hitch, which renders her flight deck inoperable. Her deck is wrecked. Plus, it does, since it will also do secondary, total, supposed to be secondary damage, so that'll move down to AA. Her AA guns are gone. And the third and final torpedo strike is a 9. 4 holes, 1 primary. She sinks. Bloop, bloop, bloop. So the Jurikaku, which the U.S. are already doing better than they did historically, because the U.S. didn't sink any of the Japanese, the 2 main battle carriers. So, was I marking it off the wrong one? Oh, bless it, I was. All right, so that was the Jurikaku. God. Well, I mean, they're identical. Yeah, I mean, literally, stat-wise, they're identical. They're sister ships, so it doesn't really matter. But the Jurikaku, oh, poor Jurikaku. Bloop, 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 bloop. She sinks too. And will probably be discovered by Paul Allen's submarine... what is he doing? The organization that he put together to find submarines. I'll probably find it in, 2018 or something like that. So that was the Jurikaku. Now the Shokaku gets 4 dive bombers, and we're looking at 4s to find, or 4s to hit. 1 hit. 1 hit from the dive bombers. 11 on... Ooh! 2 hull and lose 1 speed. That's not good. 2 hull and lose 1 speed, so she becomes a 2+. And so that'll be the dive bombers. Now for the torpedo bombers, we've got 4 dice, and we need 5s or 6s. Okay, 1 hit, not bad. The damage is a 9. 4 holes and 1 primary. 1, 2, 3, 4 holes, 1 primary, which will be to the flight deck, and also it'll cascade through to a tertiary. All right. Yeah, that's the status. That right there. The Jurikaku is sunk. The Shokaku has taken, she's only got 2 hull boxes left, and she can only collect 8 steps worth of aircraft coming in. Okay, that was odd. Just had an Amber Alert come across my phone. Totally kicked me offline totally kicked me off while I was recording. Okay, so that right there, that aircraft savagery, or that strike right there, pretty much decides the fate of the battle. The Americans have got pretty much a complete, okay, both sides have lost one of their major carriers. The U.S. aircraft carrier is in much better shape than the Shokaku. The Shokaku is barely able to function. She's got 2 hull boxes left. She's only going to be able to handle 8 steps worth of aircraft, whereas the U.S. the Yorktown still has 4 hit boxes and can operate 11 steps of aircraft. So it's kind of tight, but at this point, I really think both sides would try to retire. Would the Japanese attempt to do a naval engagement? I don't think so. They're outnumbered. I mean, they're close enough. They could. The U.S. and the Japanese task forces are close enough together that a surface engagement could be feasible, but they're outnumbered. The U.S. outnumber them by like 5 ships. So at this point, I think the Japanese would try to retire this way. The U.S. would retire towards Australia. Now, taking a look at it, in the next turn, they'd recover their aircraft, or what aircraft there could be recovered. Let's see. So the Juikaku sank. So that's all of her aircraft gone. And the Shokaku could only handle 8 steps. So probably a fighter, a torpedo bomber, 2, 6. All right, that's probably what they would end up with. A fighter, a dive bomber, a full torpedo, and a half torpedo. The U.S. lost the Lexington, so all her aircraft are gone. But she can handle still 11 steps, so yeah, she's still at full strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, she can still throw stuff up at full strength. The next turn, they'd be recovering. They'd be sending out search planes again. They'd be probably steaming away from each other at full speed. The turn after that, which would be a night turn, the U.S., what we would have left over would be... basically, that's what we'd be looking at, going after each other. I think even if they were to launch an attack in the evening, if they were able to spot each other, I still think the U.S. would come out on top. I think the Jukaku would probably end up being sunk, or the Shokaku, in the follow-up strike. The Lexington, or I mean the Yorktown, she could really survive. No, she probably would get sunk or severely damaged as well. So I've been at this project for 3 weeks now, and the biggest point was to try to show everybody how the gameplay worked out. I think I've done that. I don't think I need to continue the gameplay. I think it's fair to say that both sides have crippled each other's aircraft carriers. What would this mean long term, at least for the next Battle of Midway? Depending on how the Yorktown, how much damage the Yorktown may end up showing up at Midway, maybe, or she wouldn't show up at all. So this, from a tactical standpoint, I think this could be considered a U.S. victory, because at this point, yes, the Port Moresby invasion force would be called off, just like it was historically. Tulagi invasion force would continue pushing, dumping everything off at Tulagi. That wouldn't change anything. The overall effect at Guadalcanal wouldn't change anything. Juikaku and Shokaku wouldn't participate in Midway like they did not participate historically. However, there's a good chance that the Yorktown would have been damaged or sunk with the remaining Japanese airstrike, so they wouldn't have been to Midway either. And that could really have an effect on the outcome of the war. Well, not an outcome on the war. The Japanese were going to lose anyways. There was no way that the Japanese could withstand the industrial might of America. it would have taken us longer probably to knock them out if we used this as the historical yardstick. But, so, there we go. That is Avalanche Press's Second World War at Sea, Coral Sea. Yeah, and I think we savaged each other pretty well. Again, I did this because I wanted to play this game, and I like getting these videos out. And really, this is the only video that I know of that shows actual, tactical and strategic gameplay. I enjoy the system. I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to doing it again. There's a lot of work as a solitaire player to make this work. Is it worth it? If I had a bigger space and I didn't have to shift my table around all over the place, yeah, I could see because when I did this, when I was doing this solo, when I was going through the night turns and playing the turn, I zipped right through the turns. That wasn't an issue. But yeah, just a lot of table space. So I don't know if I'm going to get this to the table again anytime soon. I'd like to. I'd love to get the Bismarck. I mean, Pacific's fine, but I like my German fleet. So I'd love to get the Z-Plan ships. But to play the Z-Plan ships in scenarios, you need Bismarck and Arctic Convoy and another one. I think Bismarck just got back into. I think they just published the second edition of that. But still, I mean, it's very, very difficult to find for a reasonable price. These games from Avalanche Press. I enjoyed it. I just don't know if I'm ever going to get back to it. Would I love to do this against a human? This would be great to do against a human. I'd love to be able to play this against a human. Maybe someday. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticism in the comment section. I'll see you next time. See ya!